Hey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back again to Austin Sports Weekend. With Austin right here, we are going to talk college football. We are already through week 9, jumping into week 10. Only 4 more weeks to go. Four
Yeah,
more
we're
weeks
in
to
the
go.
home
We
stretch.
are definitely in the home stretch. But before we get started, thanks again for SevereTV.com for setting us up here in the beautiful studios. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for setting us up with some autographed helmets. We got the Ray Lewis over here and the Dylan Sampson. We brought out some monsters for Halloween. Happy Halloween,
Yes, happy
everybody.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. It is the scary time of season. So let's talk about some
And
scary
some teams
football.
got some frights.
There has been some frightening things happening. Yeah, we need to recap our week 9. Let's talk about some winners and losers there, and then we'll jump into our picks. We normally cover the top 15 ranked. The playoff ranking does come out Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We have not seen that yet, so we will go by the current rankings that we have. But we always cover Tennessee first. If you haven't noticed, there's a little bit of orange on the show. So we'll jump in. Tennessee went to Kentucky for
Stuck out a win.
a very needed win for the program building. Jump in there and won 33-27. The line was 3.5, 4 points. So Tennessee covered the line and scored. Put up 33 points. Kentucky was, I think, averaging giving up 95, 96 yards a game rushing, and Tennessee ripped off like 252. So Tennessee's rushing game is very consistent against everybody. Really doesn't matter who they play that much. They look really good.
The deep pass defense did struggle against Devin Leary. I don't know where this quarterback came from.
Yeah, he had a bye week off. He had 2 weeks to prepare for. So I think all he did was him and his receivers went out to a field and threw passes for 12 hours a day.
It looked
Because
like it.
that's the most accurate I've seen him since he was with NC State. You know, he was a top 5 quarterback in the country
The
when he
one
was with
question
NC
that I
State.
asked Dad while we were watching, where was this at the beginning of the season?
I don't know. I don't know if he didn't have enough time with the team or didn't the time something was off because he had the most interceptions in the SEC coming into this game. He had
N-
7,
He didn't have a single one in this
and
game.
he did not throw winners. Now Tennessee was minus their best cover corner.
And it showed at
Haddon,
times.
Haddon, yeah, but we definitely missed Haddon. We hope that he gets better. He has shoulder surgery. Thoughts going out to him. Hope that he gets better. And that did show. That did show that he wasn't out there because he was very highly rated. But still, though, Kentucky put their best foot forward. They knew that we were going to stop the run and that they would have to pass to beat us. So I think they concentrated on that, and they looked pretty good. But Tennessee was just a bigger,
Yeah, the bigger,
bruisier team.
bruisier team, yeah.
At the both sides, the offensive line and defensive line, they were just bruisers out there. Our running backs were just killers. I mean, we've got 3. I don't know. I really, and I'm not just saying it's because I'm Tennessee. I don't know if there's a better running back room in college football right now. Somebody, I mean, when you can throw your fourth quarter quarterback out there and he runs on that last drive and just takes over the whole entire drive, and he's your sophomore third string guy, Mr. Simpson here. It was fantastic. Again, people, have been on Joe Milton all year, and he has been a little bit down. But just some numbers for his last 2 games.
Mr. Analytical,
Mr. Number. I do like some numbers when it comes to consistency. His last 2 games he's 46 for 62 at a 74% completion, which is really good. 499 yard passing yards. Not fantastic, but that's averaging 250 yards passing the game. Not bad. Plus 85 rushing yards on top of that. So he's been mobile. Thank you. Please, thank you. Thank you, Heupel, for finally making that big old monster and mobile quarterback. Thank you. And then 3 total touchdowns. So he's been playing fairly pretty good the last 2 games. The young receiver, Nimrod, looked really good. He caught that 1 touchdown pass.
I bet you some middle schooler was chuckling in the background.
Yeah, there's always somebody doing that, yeah. But Tennessee they're actually looking like they're getting a little better. And again, we're talking our 6-2 record that we have right now is our second best record in the past 17 years. So
Yet it's not good enough,
we,
apparently, for some people.
I'm a fan. We can fuss and moan and groan, and we want more. We want our team, our players to be just the best that they could possibly be. And then sometimes people go a little overboard with some stuff. So, no, right now we have a fantastic team. Everything's still wide open. We can still win the East. I mean,
It requires a lot to
it
happen.
requires a lot to happen. Georgia's going to have to lose a game plus we beat them.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy, but crazier things have happened. But we've still got a fantastic road ahead of us. We can still do some great things this season. And I will take 9-3 every year. If you give me a 9-3 year every year, I'll take a 9-3 year every year. So this is still a fantastic Tennessee team. We had number 4 number 4 Florida State at Wake Forest.
Speaking of a good team,
Florida State 41-16. Florida State's a good team.
they're a good team.
They
They
are
are
definitely.
worthy of maybe college football playoff.
I
level.
think they are a college football playoff team. We will see by the end of the year.
They got the ACC championship game. They
I
can
don't
just roll to.
I don't know if they're in the top 4 starting, but they will. I think they end up in the top 4. And
They get to prove it.
Yeah. We had Oklahoma, Kansas. What?
Well, Oklahoma played too close to the edge and got burned.
And this was not basketball. This was football. Kansas beat Oklahoma 38-33. That's a team changing win. I mean,
Especially for Kansas.
yeah, you can actually have recruits go. I may go to Kansas
For
Now-
football.
for football.
You can thank one individual for that. Lance Leipold.
Yep, they brought him in, and nobody believes that he could go into Kansas and win football games.
And in 2 years, he's won more football games at Kansas than any person really thinks that you
Think
could.
that you should or could there, which is fantastic. It's always good to have more competitive teams, but Kansas did it, and Oklahoma was number 6, and they won't be number 6 anymore. We had Indiana, Penn State. Penn State.
Big game James
Big game-
struggled throughout the game.
This wasn't a big game, but they still won it. They won 33-24.
It was closer than it looked, though. Throughout
It
the whole
was.
game, they struggled with Indiana. I'm sorry,
Indiana.
Indiana.
We had Georgia, Florida. Georgia played with them a little bit like a cat playing with a little mouse.
Do you know who was terrified?
Hmm.
Florida. They were terrified because they saw a giant monster that looked like a bulldog charging at them at full speed.
Georgia plays up and down to their competition. Georgia can play Vandy and struggle, and then when they get up against Florida, they beat them 43-20.
I mean, that was dominant.
That was just a complete domination if there ever was one. So Georgia looks like what they should have looked like the entire year of that game.
If they play like this the whole year,
It's
then
going to be
I
hard to beat
probably
them.
would have.
They're not going to get beat. If they put up 43 points like this you're not going to beat Georgia. No. We had BYU, Texas.
Texas's defense showed up. How about 6 points allowed?
6 points allowed to BYU's offense. Now BYU's down this year. They're not doing too well, but 35-6 is pretty good.
The defense was really good in that game.
And we were a little worried about Texas without their
Without Quinn Ewers,
Quinn Ewers.
not so far.
Not so far. 35 points is pretty good there.
35-6 is a solid score.
Speaking of 35-6, our next game was 35-6.
6 Oregon over
Oregon
Utah.
at Utah. That was a little bit more of a domination than I thought it would be. I picked Oregon to win by double digits.
They didn't need their
but
best effort scoring either.
I didn't know that they'd beat them by 29. 29 is a little strong.
Oregon
going
is
into
a
Utah.
threat.
Utah's won the Pac-12 the past 2 years.
Oregon
and
is still a threat.
yes, Oregon is still a threat. If Oregon gets a chance to get into the playoffs, I would not
They
want to
make-
play them.
I don't want to play the Ducks right now.
No, I don't know. I think Washington really played well and got by Oregon at home by a really close game. I think if Oregon and Washington played again right now, Oregon would win If Oregon, especially if Oregon was at home. So I would not. I don't think Oregon makes the playoffs now because of that one loss. Next year we got 12 teams. Next year Oregon would be in there, and we could get to see.
I mean, they could get a chance if they knock off Washington, or if they get an opportunity. Something happens here, something happens there.
Well, there's got to be some serious things happen because there's too many undefeated teams right now. With Michigan and Ohio State, one of those two will go down. I don't know if Georgia loses. I don't know if Florida State loses. There's some teams in there that are really, really good. I think there's about to be some 2-loss teams. But we had Pitt, Notre Dame. Ouch, 58-7. I knew Pitt was bad, but not that bad.
Notre Dame came in and just dominated from the jump.
Beat them by 51.
Oh my gosh.
That was
an Irish thumping. Good old Ireland style shamrock in the face.
The line was 21, and I think we actually took that line. But man, they beat them by 51.
They
not
took
21. They've doubled it.
They gave Pitt a shamrock kick in the face.
They just dominated them. And so Notre Dame is still again. I'll give credit to Notre Dame. They played a tough schedule this year.
Yeah, they did. They went on the road and played top 25 teams 4 straight.
Yeah. We had Washington, Stanford. Washington gave up too many points, I think, and struggled with Stanford there just a tad bit, but they still won 42-33.
At least they've got their scoring back. It's not like it was 15-7.
No, that 15-7. They were actually favored by 27.5 though, and they ended up just winning by 9. So they struggled a little bit. They gave up too many points to Stanford. Stanford should not have scored like they did. But a W is a W. You keep on going. The Washington still ranked in the top 5. We had Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Ohio State's offense is still driving the struggle bus. But they win.
I think that might be the case for the whole year, but
they win.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is the main source.
Man, is he good. Marvin Harrison Jr. is...
Just like his dad.
Just like his dad. He is a fantastic force. Without him on that offense, I don't think they score 24. They definitely don't score 24.
I think Marvin Harrison had another 100-yard game just behind my back or something.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, snuck one right by you before you knew what happened to you. Yeah. He's going to be exciting in the NFL. We had Vandy, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss could have beat them worse, but they held up and prepared themselves probably for Georgia coming up.
Yep, 33-7.
Because you probably don't want to beat up Vanderbilt too bad, where the other Georgia can probably see what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm sure they held back some. Our last top 15 was Oregon State, Arizona. Arizona pulled the upset,
which was something we warned you about last week.
We warned you that could definitely happen.
Now Arizona is probably a sneaky team in come bowl season.
Yeah, still coming down the stretch here. They might run somebody's year too. Still yet. All right, let's jump into our Week 10. We'll talk about Tennessee first, like we always do. We got UConn coming to Tennessee for the homecoming game.
This is going to be, I'm not going to say a slaughter, but it's going to be a win.
Beat down, yeah. They're honoring the Tennessee Vols are honoring Pat Summitt this week with a little blue trim on the jerseys, probably some blue socks or something, So
they better play hard for old Pat.
That's right, against UConn. I wouldn't be surprised if this ain't a 50.
That's actually perfect.
A 53-10 game.
When you look at it, that is perfect. If you know the details.
If you know the details of women's basketball, Tennessee, UConn, Tennessee honoring Pat, playing UConn.
That is absolutely
the last 36 Tennessee, and I'm going to
perfect.
take Tennessee minus 36.
That was perfect.
I think they put up a ton of points on UConn. All right, let's jump into our top 15. We got Ohio State, Rutgers. Rutgers is not a bad team this year, but they're not a good team either. They're sort of middle of the road, and Ohio State.
They're bowl eligible.
They are bowl eligible. Rutgers is bowl eligible.
What a world we live in.
What a world we live in. Well, Ohio State beat them by 18.5.
I think they could if they really decide, hey, we're going to try to score more points.
I don't know. I don't think Ohio State can score points. Rutgers has put up 31-27. 13-52. So I think Ohio State wins, but I don't like the 18.5 points. I would probably take Rutgers in that, to be honest.
Their defense is what kept them in.
Yeah. So I think Ohio State wins, but it might be a 34-14 game. It might be. Not 34, but like 31-17. I think it's more of a 14-point game, 12-point game than it is a 20-point game. We got K-State in the top 25 playing at Texas.
This is going to be probably a big old toss-up, but I've got Texas.
I got Texas too. Again, you don't know what you're getting with Texas because of the injuries, but they played so good last week. You got to assume they would keep on playing with that level of consistency. They're only favored by 4 points, so it's pretty safe. But K-State's pretty good. They're 6-2 and ranked 25th. We got Texas A&M. This should be a really good game. Texas A&M at Ole Miss. Ole Miss favored by 3.
It's the 12 o'clock game.
Noon.
That should have been like a late night game, maybe.
That's a good game for noon, ain't it? Really?
Yeah.
Ole Miss is favored by 3. I'll probably take Ole Miss in this.
Ole Miss is facing Georgia later on in the month, so this will be good practice.
This will be a good practice. Texas A&M's got a great defense, so this will be a good practice. Yeah, we got Notre Dame, Clemson. I'm taking Notre Dame.
How the
Clemson is on a spiral down. Yeah.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, they are 4-4, and honestly are going to struggle to make a playoff.
Or make a bowl game.
Or make a bowl game. That's what I meant. They're going to struggle to make a bowl game. They're going to have to go 2-2 to finish the year, and I think they lose this one, so they're going to have to go 2-1. They got a pesky Georgia Tech, a really good North Carolina, and a pesky South Carolina. They're going to have to go 2-1 those last few games there,
or else just absolute negative
collapse.
vibes.
Absolute collapse. Yeah. But I do take Notre Dame there. They're favored by 3. I think they win by 10 plus.
Mm-hmm.
We got Missouri. This is a fantastic game. The 3:30 CBS game of the week. Number 14 Missouri at number 1.
Georgia still yet?
Georgia still yet.
Since Georgia is between their hedges, it's going to be really hard for Missouri.
It's going to be hard for Missouri. Georgia's favored by 15.5. And after last week's bombardment, I would probably take Georgia. Although Georgia does play down. I don't know, is Georgia going to take Missouri serious in the first half?
Well, they didn't take South Carolina seriously until the second half.
That's what I'm saying. They take Florida serious because it's Florida.
And they'll take Tennessee
They'll
serious
take Tennessee
because
serious,
it's
but
Tennessee.
because it's Tennessee. But will they take Missouri serious until the second half? I still think they win by 15, 16 points. If they take them serious, they'll beat them by 20. So we'll just have to see how this game goes. We got Florida State Pitt. I feel so bad for Pitt. They just got murdered one week. They're going to get murdered again this week.
Get beat by 2 top 15 teams in 2 consecutive games.
Back-to-back games, yeah. The line's 21.5 on that one. It's probably going to cover that. Penn State, Maryland. Maryland's not a bad team against their 5-3. Big game. James again. Playing that Maryland team. Penn State's favored by 10.
The definition of insanity, Dad. That is big game James.
Doing the same thing over and over and over.
And expecting something different.
Yes, that's what we got with Penn State. I think Penn State wins it, though. Maryland's doing great, but they're not doing really good, you know. We got Oklahoma State. Oklahoma coming off the loss. I think they take care of Oklahoma State.
But there is one thing that's been rising among...
What's that?
Ollie Gordon II for Oklahoma State has ran for 7 touchdowns in the past 3 games.
So
he's going to be a big threat to look out for, possibly. And this is a rivalry game.
The line's only 5.5, so this is a rivalry game. They're calling it pretty close. I still think Oklahoma, coming off of a loss, a focused Oklahoma. Do you think Brett Venables was hard on him this week?
Oh, probably.
I would be. If I was a head coach, I would say, see what you do whenever you slack off. Are you guys going to work this week? So
yep.
I think Oklahoma covers, but mainly because of they're coming off of a loss, and Brett Venables is a defensive-minded grind coach. So we got Virginia Tech, Louisville back up into the top 15. Louisville's favored by 9.5. Virginia Tech's 4-4. Probably going to happen, ain't it?
Yeah, Louisville coming off that win against Duke. And they're...
Skunked them.
Yeah.
Skunked them last week.
I think Louisville's going to keep their positive momentum going.
Mm-hmm. We got Cal at Oregon. Cal's really bad. Oregon, like you
is
said,
really good.
It's really good. Oregon's favored by 24. I'm pretty comfortable with that, too.
Ducks are going to quack on till next week.
Yep. Purdue, Michigan. Purdue is terrible.
Michigan is good.
Michigan is really good. Anyway, however they're doing it, they're a good team right now. So they're favored by 32.5. That's probably maybe right at the limits of what it might be, but I would still take Michigan. We got number 5 Washington at number
24
USC.
USC. Fresh off of their 50-49 win over Cal.
They should have lost it. They were down by double digits in the fourth quarter there. and Cal just
USC's
did it.
defense has achieved a new level of awful last week.
How many points do you think they'll give up to Washington?
Oh, Lord.
I think Washington definitely wins this. The line's only 3.5.
All you got to do is stop the USC offense twice, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then just watch as your offense completely shreds whatever remains of the skeleton of the
Yeah,
USC defense.
USC's defense is bad.
Like it's approaching all-time bad.
It is really, really bad. Yeah. I think is the game of the week is LSU at Alabama.
What a game to end our video on.
13 LSU at number 8 Alabama. Alabama's favored by 3.
LSU has the highest scoring offense in the country with 47.5 per game, which is a lot of points.
Yeah. You want to know how many times Nick Saban has lost to the same quarterback back-to-back years?
How many?
0. So if LSU wins this, it's going to be the first time a quarterback has ever beat Nick Saban in back-to-back years.
Alabama's defense is allowing 16.5 points defensively.
So Alabama's defense is really good. Against Alabama's offense has been driving the struggle bus this year too.
LSU's defense has drove the struggle bus. So it's literally which breaks
Power against power, weakness against weakness, and just whichever one of the two breaks
will be the
wins the
deciding
game.
factor.
I'm probably going to take Alabama just for the fact that Nick Saban doesn't lose to the same team 2 years in a row normally.
No.
And he's never lost to the same quarterback 2 years in a row.
It'd be impressive if he did pull this off.
It would be impressive. I would rather have LSU win. My heart says go Tigers. But I got to go with Alabama -3 on that one. And that's it. That is college football week 9 and our picks for week 10. Thanks again for hanging out with us, talking a little college football. It's always fun to talk college football.
Yeah.
Be sure and like us. Throw a little love our way. Share us with your friends out there, whatever's going on. Thanks again for stopping in. Thanks again for SevereTV.com. Be sure and check them out. Got some other shows going on. Be sure to check out Autographs Plus here. They dropped us some good helmets. They got stores in Sevierville and Pigeon Forge. Christmas is coming up. Better go buy something.
Merry Christmas in November.
Merry Christmas. Hey, the trees are already out. See you next week for more college football.
See you next week.